I think there's been a disastrous decline in trust for institutions and pillars of society right across the board, from churches, the BBC, the media in general, police, and of course politics and politicians. And this is a mixture which, if we don't get it sorted, is very combustible. And you know, the whole structure of our democracy and the confidence that people have that things will be sorted and that people are behaving acceptably starts to erode. I think there were several strands in terms of those in August 2011 who rioted in only some parts of the country. My own city, which is the fourth largest in the country, as in the 1980s and 2001, did not have riots. Now, there are cultural reasons for that in terms of the way people feel about their neighbourhood and community and themselves, how they feel about their city. Where there were disturbances, of course, part of that, an element of it, was, if you like, two fingers up the nose of society in general, that we don't accept the norms, the ethos, we don't accept or respect the way in which you expect us to behave and the way society behaves towards us. And to get to grips with that, you need the chicken, it's chicken and egg as you were describing it, you know, what comes first. I don't think that we can simply give them the profile of quite a lot of those who rioted. They didn't fit into what we originally thought they might be. In other words, grossly disadvantaged people who never really had a chance in life. Some of them were, but not all of them. And some used it as an opportunity simply to thieve. Some used it as an opportunity to let off steam. Some used it as a chance to have a go back at society that they resented. I think in rooting back, thinking about what happened, we need to be able to identify those different strands and deal with the people concerned, and it wasn't all youngsters, in different ways. And where people did feel that they'd been rejected, ignored, where they'd failed because the system didn't offer them an alternative opportunity to succeed, and we're in danger of doing that all over again with changes to the education system, then you can expect a reaction. And the lesson we should learn from 2011, and I fear we're not learning it, is that if you reject people, they will reject you.
So when it comes to engaging young people in politics, what do you think the actual role is of the government, other authorities, the communities in doing that?
Well, I've been very strongly in favour of citizenship, including active citizenship based in schools, and I introduced the curriculum for citizenship back 10 years ago. I regret that it's not always been taught well, and I regret that now there's a proposition to take it out of the curriculum altogether. Most of those who were involved in disturbances had not been through the major citizenship programs. They came in too late for them. But also, they were getting the signal that, firstly, you know, mass youth unemployment double, well, more than double, the average for society as a whole in terms of youth unemployment. Secondly, you know, the attitude, well, you know, it's down to you. And thirdly, a failure, I think, to relate to people's immediate lives. There's a real danger, and it affects me as much as anyone else, that we live a slightly different lifestyle, we live in a different world, and we've got to constantly go back into the communities we represent. We've got to talk to people, we've got to listen, we've got to be there. And I try and do that with local youth organisations, with the Youth Parliament, getting into schools and opening up discussion in classrooms, just being there so that when I walk down the street, youngsters can say in Yorkshire, "Hey up, David," and that's the way you feel, as though they don't disrespect you, but they see you as part of their community rather than as a pompous politician working down in London.
But do you think that perhaps engaging with citizenship studies is maybe still not the problem for those type of people, but it's more engaging with the education system and engaging with schools itself, like that's the first barrier overall?
Well, I'm smiling because you've touched on a real problem, that those we're reaching are the ones who want to be reached and are easy to reach. The systems we put in place, the process of citizenship, those who are already interested will be interested and has an impact. But those who are already completely disillusioned, who are resentful, who see society as being, well, something out with their own experiences, they don't even know what we're talking about, how do we reach them? And you know, I haven't got a clever answer to that. I'm going to say that you've got a much better chance of knowing what the answer to that is. I don't just mean in communication, in using the what's called the new media and the things that I'm an old fogey about, but I mean in terms of understanding where they're coming from and what would reach them. And that's why actually being part of this process and talking to you is not just about me talking at you, it's talking with you and hopefully getting some feedback from it. I think in that way we can get young people to realise, firstly, that the world as they know can be a better place, and we've seen it in the past. 7 years ago, the Voice of Young People in Make Poverty History and campaigns which were both national and international really did make a difference. They changed the minds of world statesmen when they met at Gleneagles in Scotland in July 2005 on world poverty and particularly debt for Africa and climate change. It made a difference. And secondly, to actually say, if you put your shoulder to the wheel, even something as simple as voting can make a difference.